What's something about your boyfriend/girlfriend that you didn't know until way too late in the relationship? Old man here, married 4 decades. Look, it doesn't matter what you find out about them now. The question is, what are you going to find out about them after 10 years, 20 years, and 30 years? People change. They change a lot. Boy Scout this year. 10 years from now, you find out he is secretly doing hard narcotics and has been for a couple of years. She's shy and doesn't talk much. Raising teenage boys will change that for sure. She'll be a loudmouth harpy and dressing you down loudly by association. Sexually driven almost to obsession. How about zero libido in the same person 10 years later? Or how about libido that suddenly manifests in a prude who suddenly can't stop effing everything shaped like a cucumber? Kids, shaking head. You have no idea what it means to be in a long-term relationship. You think it is about getting to know each other and then you cruise through. That is wrong. You think you are cruising, and while you are busy taking them for granted, then turn around and bang. Some ridiculous new hobby, a new look, now fat, now skinny, now muscles, now fat again, and now back to muscles. Oops, cancer, and affair, more cancer. How can you have an affair during chemo? It does not stop. Marriage and long-term relationships are not for cowards or the weak of will. You don't stay together because of love. Romance fades into family familiarity and competition for control of children's future. Or trust. You cannot trust humans, they are unpredictable even to themselves. You stay together only out of sheer willpower and because you have a sense of humor about what the person might be up to next, and you want to see it and help them through it. The first decade of a relationship is like some kind of a joke. People get divorced during that time, but they needed to, because after 4 decades, those pussies would be taking their own lives or end up in 12-step rehab centers. Oh, that happens too. You'll see. Wait until their parents die, and then yours die, and then your brother sues you to get all of the inheritance, but won't clean out the basement of their house filled with Then you find out he has a grow lab on a farm, and D is investigating him. Oh wait, your brother was shot to death. Now you need knee replacement. What do you mean you slept with my brother? Why the hell are you telling me this now after 30 years? Good God. Woman, it doesn't matter now. Walking down the aisle tomorrow, grab the OSH handles now. In 40 years, you will be able to look a marine drill instructor in the eyes and say, out of my way, kid, I have seen she would not believe. He sometimes sleepwalks. I've only been around him when he's done this once, but that was enough to burn it in my memory. I was sleeping peacefully when I woke up to a horrible pain. I even yelled out apparently. The next thing I heard was my boyfriend saying over and over again, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. Apparently in his dream, he was deciding where to go eat. Then magically some bacon appeared in front of him, so he took a bite. The bacon was my nose. That he was a virgin. Before he got with me, I thought he was psing. He confessed that I took his virginity and his closest buds and siblings confirmed it. Craziness. It didn't affect our relationship, but I didn't understand why he lied about it. I was crazy about him before we even had sex. That she wanted kids, and that it's very important to her. You know how people say you shouldn't talk about kids too early in a relationship. F those people. If you're looking for a serious relationship, make sure you want the same thing before you start. There is no compromising on this. You can't have half a kid. Thank you. I've gotten major flack before for discussing this, but I'm physically unable to have children. So if a guy has a pressing need to have his own genetic child, it wasn't going to work. Silly me. Thinking talking about it several dates in was better than investing months/years into a relationship that wasn't going to work out. Well, after we'd been together for about 6 months and made a huge move to a different state together, my boyfriend came to me, all confessional, to say he had something to tell me. I went on high alert and started running through the list of things he could possibly want to tell me. Did he have AIDS? Did he have cancer? Did he murder someone? Did he accidentally hit someone with his car? Did he accidentally hit someone with his car on a dark night sometime before we met? And he's racked with guilt. My mind was moving on to thinking about how we were going to pay for lawyers' fees in case he really had accidentally run someone over when he dropped his bomb on me. He said, I never graduated from high school. My mind shifted gears a bit. Oh, I said, and started thinking of how he was going to have to go to night school and get his JED or something. I was working out the scheduling in my head when he said, "I dropped out when I was 17, but I got my JED. I just thought you should know." So, I had just been on this very short emotional roller coaster that ended in a complete anticlimax. All I could do was just crack up laughing. Then I said, "A JED is pretty much exactly the same as a diploma. Don't ever scare me like that again. Jeez." My girlfriend sleeps with her eyes open. First time I slept over, and it happened I was literally talking to her quietly, and she was asleep. I wondered what I had said or done to make her go all zombie-like. Really creeped me out. The next day I talked to her about it, and she admitted it happens sometimes. It happens all the time. She goes to sleep with her eyes closed, but over a couple of minutes they slowly open up. Freaky as F. But eventually I got over it, and married her. We have 3 girls. 2 of them are normal, but one sleeps with her eyes open. ARGHHH. That he was a pathological liar and half the things I knew about him were completely false. Examples: he had lung cancer, but got treated without his family knowing a few years back and now has melanoma. He went to a couple treatments, but it was too painful to keep going. But don't tell anyone. No, you can't come to my sessions. Nobody knows but you. He owned a Smith & Wesson 500 and shot a bear with it, but would never come to the shooting range with me or go hunting. His dad had one. Found out he's never shot more than a bird with a BB gun. Before we were dating he said he had a 1300cc Hayabusa back home. My family and I love bikes. I grew up around them. He refused to come riding with us, even borrow one of my family's extra bikes. Asked where his bike was when we were going to visit his parents, and he said he had to sell it to save up for a better car. When I was alone with his sister some months later I asked if he had ever had a bike. She said no, he wouldn't even ride with their friend who offered. Also, that he was holding out for me, his atheist girlfriend who was working 50 hours a week and taking on an engineering degree full time, to be saved and become his obedient Christian housewife. Noped right out of there. He was legally blind. He hid it really well. We lived on campus, so he never drove anywhere because he just didn't have a car. He always read really close to the screen or to the pages because he couldn't see. But I do the same thing and have fixable vision, so I didn't think anything of it. 8 months later, we get into a huge fight because I lost my glasses/contacts and needed a ride in my own car to the eye doctor to get more. He refused up and down, and I was furious. I had to get a friend to drive me. It was kind of an emergency, gotta go right now situation, and I was livid. Later that day he explained he couldn't see really at all, and that it wasn't fixable, and that he's always been this way, and that what I thought was his driver's license was just an ID card, and people always give him shit about not having a license or not being able to read far away, not realizing he was blind. I felt like an A. I dated a girl for 2 years once. I tried to teach her how to surf one time. She refused to get into the water. She said she would prefer to just watch me. I took her to a water park, and she refused to do any of the slides or anything because they were dirty. Once, at the end of the summer, I took her skinny dipping, and she just got naked and dangled her feet off the dock into the water. Then it struck me. She got really embarrassed and admitted that she did not know how to swim. She doesn't have a place for anything. I mean, everyone keeps their aspirin in the medicine cabinet. She doesn't, she just puts it wherever she happens to use it. I once found a box of Twinkies in the bathroom. 15 years later she's a little better, but it's maddening. I always get pissed when women make fun of their husbands for having to ask them where something is, because I do this all the damn time, but it isn't my fault. I'll call her to ask where the effing bread is. Oh, check my bedside table. If I wasn't so in love with her I would have gutted her and hid the body by now. That he's kinda terrible at living like a functioning adult. It's not really his fault. His parents taught him pretty much nothing in the way of how to live on your own, be fiscally responsible, etc. He didn't know how to do anything vaguely domestic when we started dating. One day when I was sick I asked him to make some sausage, cause I felt terrible, and I effing love breakfast sausage. He returned sometime later with a burnt on the outside, raw on the inside sausage patty. He'd never cooked raw meat before. I was just so floored I couldn't even be mad, which is usually my reaction to these things now. It's a relatively common occurrence. I'm just in awe that somehow he's gotten this far in life without knowing these things. I love him. He's a great guy, but there's just a lot of things he's never done. I enjoy doing domestic stuff like cooking, laundry, yard work, etc. And he's always willing to learn, or at least pretend to listen to me. He's also never seen pretty much any cult classic / iconic movie. I'm not even surprised when he says he hasn't seen something anymore. I just added to the list of things we need to watch. Yeah, that's pretty much me. I know a lot about random things, history, science, literature, games, but when it comes to something simple like make an egg over easy, I have to straight up go idiot mode and type into Google, how make egg. I'm always willing to learn and help though. You need a pan and this much of an ingredient. Let me get that for you while you teach this 10-year-old how to live like a real person.